Welcome back. This is Daybreak Africa. If you just tuned in, of course, you're from CJ saying Ondo City and remain Ezekiel Ogar. This morning, I have a public affair analyst in the house, person of Ayodele Ogundolire, and we talk about Nigerian leadership. And of course, the inauguration is coming just in days' time, and of course, we have so many challenges already, and we tend to look at possible solutions just before the incoming administration. Welcome on Daybreak Africa, Ayodele.
Thank you very much.
Good morning to you.
Thank you very much.
Let me say, it's looking like the new administration already.
Yes, I guess so. It's more like we're in the spirit of it all already.
Right now, I would like to go straight forward with this question.
Okay.
Nigerian democracy right now. Where do you think we are? Are we really making any progress? When we talk about democracy, talk about electioneering process and everything, are we really making any headway?
Thank you very much. Talking about democracy, since 1999, of course, we can say that there have been changes to the democratic process of Nigeria. But still at that, there are some challenges that we face. Of course, we are a developing country. We are not yet a developed country. So definitely it's expected that we should, that we would have some challenges that will be faced. So the democratic setting or the process in Nigeria, as we speak now, of course, it's progressing, but it's slow. It's still very, very much slow. We are not where we are expected to be yet, but it's expected that we should have been above where we are now. And the major reason is because we have entertained politics into, we have politicized everything that we do, in the sense that we believe as long as the administration that is on board is affiliated to one political party. So we don't see other political parties, even if there are technocrats, there are professionals in there. We don't believe there should be synergy. So in which we are supposed to have a synergy between all parastatals and all political parties, all individuals, having a collective responsibility to move Nigeria forward.
Well, I guess you spoke about democracy, but I'd like to streamline just a little bit to the elections, straightforward. Now, many felt the election was a disappointment.
Okay.
And the question to you is, do you feel disappointed as to the election process and the results afterward, particularly the presidential elections?
Yes, to me, well, it's expected that an election should be free, fair, and credible. I would say the election is free because as an eligible voter, you are not disenfranchised to vote. On being fair, well, I might say I wouldn't agree that it's totally fair, because in some parts of the country we see violence and all sorts of social injustice that are happening around them. But on credibility, I would call Nigeria below average. And the reason is because, of course, it's obvious that we were able to see so many things that went wrong, which the INEC, being an independent body, should be able to take up the responsibility to show Nigerians that, we are an independent body and we are ready to, to make this election free, fair, credible, where everyone is free to speak, freedom of expression, and also taking note of whatever is coming to their own organization, to their own body. So I would say it is free, a little bit fair, but not credible.
On the part of credibility, just out of curiosity, at what point did you feel the credibility ratio reduced?
Yeah, in the sense that we expect that after spending a lot of billions of naira on beavers, on making sure that election in Nigeria becomes a brilliant success, at the end of the day, it's unfortunate that we hear news about failed beavers. We are able to realize that the results were not transmitted almost immediately after the elections, which we can obviously see to juxtapose if it is corresponding with what we have with the NEC officials in each state that are presenting to us. So we can be able to see that, okay, what was
uploaded,
yes, is the same as what is being read. So those are the things that those are one of the major reasons why I said it's the election. I would not agree that it is credible.
Now, talking about, you made mention of freedom of speech. Coming back to my initial question about democracy.
Yeah.
Freedom of speech, freedom of how you do things. Do you think right now, in Nigeria, we are where we are supposed to be? That is one. Secondly, fast forwarding down to the forthcoming swearing in of the president-elect. Some analysts have come boldly to say, okay, if the president is sworn in on 29th of May, this 2023, it's going to be as good as saying goodbye to democracy. What is your take on these two situations?
Thank you. Well, for your first question, which you mentioned about the freedom of speech. Yeah, I remembered during Goodluck Ebele Jonathan's administration, it's easy for everyone, even the current president, the outgoing president, Buhari, and even the incoming president, the president-elect, all of them came out, talking about how they are not, expressing their displeasure concerning the situation of the country in terms of increase in fuel price. There were economic quagmire then. So there was freedom of speech and expression. But we realized that during Buhari's administration, it's so difficult for people, especially the youth, to come out to express their mind and feelings on behalf of the Nigerian citizens, to say, oh, this is what we are experiencing that we do not want, that we want a positive change, to happen. But unfortunately, it has become, freedom of speech is becoming antediluvian. Is going into an extinction, because it's not easy for. In fact, I'm even hearing now that in the National Assembly, it has go into the second reading that there won't be anything called going out to protest. Yeah, that's the word. Going out to protest. That, oh, we want to protest, even if it's a peaceful one. Going out to protest will be eradicated. It will no more be entertained. And we realize that even you can't easily express your mind using the social media. You understand, talking about what is happening. And we realized there was a time that the Twitter in Nigeria,
there's a restriction,
exactly, due to all these reasons. So it's like it's like a means, to keep the citizens from being aware of what we are going through, and what could probably be a solution to it, because we have Nigerians in the diaspora, and someone that is not here might not be able to know what is going on around here. So if they are able to be aware of what is going on, it can be a kind of unacceptable expression to the Nigerian government. So that is that about that. Now, talking about the second one you mentioned, the forthcoming swearing in. Yeah, some people might think the coming swearing in that will be happening on the 29th of May, that is going to be a bye-bye to democracy. Well, I would say that for now, I don't think anybody can eradicate democracy in Nigeria. I can only say that it might be hibernated anyway. We don't know until then. It might be hibernated or paused for a moment. But eradicating democracy, I don't think that can. But
when you use the word hibernate, for me to hibernate a computer system, it's not going to switch on back by itself.
Yeah.
It needs something, an extra force to bring it back.
Yes.
So if the present government is said to put it in a state of hibernating, and possibly, there's very possibility that a government that rules now might possibly rule for another 4 years after the first 4 years, which is 8 years altogether. So are we going to say we are just going to witness an hibernating system of democracy for 8 good years?
Well, the onus lies on we, the citizens of this country. Number one, well, hibernating the Nigerian democracy, I would say it has not is not just starting, because we all know that the popular or general definition of democracy is government of the people, by the people, and for the people. So, government of the people, by the people, we are the one that, you know, and for the people. So, one of the reasons why I said hibernating democracy is not what has just started, it has started before, is because, one, I mentioned the fact that there was no freedom of speech and expression. You understand? So if we are having the expected democratic government, that would, so to say, I don't believe expressing ourselves or expressing our mind or our interest as citizens should be a problem for the government, because one of the ways whereby governments improve or they can improve the economy of the country is through objective criticism. So when you are open to objective criticism, it makes you to understand that, oh, this is the areas where we are lagging behind. These are the areas where we need to improve. These are the areas where we need to, you know, have a collective responsibility, and these are the things that we need to present to the legislative arm to make amendments, you know, all those things. So, and we are lagging behind in that area. So definitely the coming administration, well, I opined before the election that I see Nigeria that after Buhari's administration, there's every probability that Nigeria is going to move forward, though it depends on the pace. Moving forward, it might be slow, it might be steady, and it might move up in the progressive trajectory. But it depends on the government of the day. In what sense? I believe, for me, when I took the three contestants, the major contestants, you know, the president-elect Tinubu, Atiku, and Peter Obi, I said, for me, if I should start with Peter Obi, I said Peter Obi is very young, he's a youth, active citizen who understands the rudiments of government policies, and he's a professional in his own career. He knows what, you know, is a youth, you know, so he would want to ensure that, of course, the not too young to rule, or the youthful mentality of we being active and being able to pursue and make goals, you know, visions of Nigerian to work in Nigeria. He has the capacity. He would want to prove that to the Nigerian society. So talking about coming to Atiku, it is believed that one way or the other, Atiku has not been able to meet up with the expectation of Nigeria when he was the vice president of this country. So he would want to come in and, you know, make a change that, oh, I want to, you know, create an impression that I am different. When I have the power, I can make a positive change as a positive change agent. Now coming to Tinubu, also we know who he used to be when he was in Lagos State as the governor. You know, though he was very young then, we know what he has been able to do. But he is old, fine, yes, which I don't subscribe to, you know, taking him as the president. But he would want to bring in, you know, technocrats, professionals, so many, you know, people that, you know, that understands how to make economy work, bringing them together to form his cabinet, so that, you know, Nigeria can move forward. So one way or the other, we'll see that these three, they would definitely have one thing or the other to prove to Nigerian that they can actually make Nigerian work. One thing I know is whichever government that is coming, which I said then, you know, whichever government is coming after Buhari is going to be a bit better than Buhari's government.
Now, speaking about moving forward, you made a mention of Nigeria mad with a certain level of limited credibility. Allow me to use that word. Limited credibility. You made mention of, and you know, you can't really talk about this administration and not talk about corruption here and there, a little bit. And let's not forget the incoming president. This is the same man that actually stood with the president Buhari in making promises, in making declaration. He literally raised his hands, and then introduced the people to the person of Buhari. He advertised Buhari and all that. Now, the Buhari administration is not entirely free from charges, scrutiny, or ill words. Now, we're having this same man that actually supported Buhari all along, coming in for 4 years and probably additional 4 years. Are we supposed to expect any moving forward at all?
Thank you very much. On that note, I would say that you know, talking about the current administration and the incoming administration, on corruption, I can say that the past administrations that we've had since 1999 have been able to do better job on corruption, you know, pressing corruption charges against those who have, you know. But during Buhari's administration, the major thing that we think that he will be coming to work on, irrespective of, you know, working on electricity, working on our refineries, working on economy, the major thing we were focusing on, we're looking up to, is fighting corruption. But unfortunately, we realize that Buhari's administration has not been able to fight corruption to the expectation of Nigerians, because at a point we realize, even if you're having corruption charges, the moment you are affiliated with the political party of the current administration, then we don't hear anything anymore about it. We realized during Obasanjo's administration, that was when we have all these anti-graft agencies, anti-corruption agencies, and we know a number of Nigerian politicians who were jailed, and they belong to the political party of that administration. But I stand to be corrected. I don't know if we can mention 3 of the present day administration. If we can mention any 3 entities or politicians who have been, you know, been taken to court, and then we've been able to see that, oh, this person actually is corrupted and jailed for such practice. Unfortunately, I don't think we have up to that. So the issue of partisanship, because of affiliation to political parties, is a major predicament, you know, towards ensuring that corruption becomes a thing of the past in Nigeria. Because it will even be difficult for Tinubu to now say he wants to, you know, probe the past administration. And that is because one way or the other, he was able to ensure that Buhari emerges, and, you know, one way or the other, the current administration also ensure that, you know,
so it's a trade by barter thing.
Exactly.
You made mention of President-elect Tinubu bringing in technocrats to support his administration and ensure his administration moves forward. Now, you will agree with me, within the president, Mr. President's current cabinet, governors and aides, we have some of them, if not most of them, rallying around the president-elect, President of Tinubu. Now, most Nigerians, many Nigerians will always want to, like I said, charge against the administration, claiming they did not do well as administration for the past 8 years, you know, and most times we tend to compare the present administration with the previous administration, and of course we always have a lot of gap in between. Now, we have this caliber of persons surrounding Buhari and his administration for the past 8 years, and we have this same caliber of persons, I wouldn't want to mention name, but surrounding Tinubu, and for sure we'll be expecting certain appointments. And, you know, what kind of change are we supposed to expect from such persons for the fact they actually garner around the president-elect?
Yeah, thank you very much. I like that question a lot because I also have been, having transcendental meditation and reminiscing over this kind of question that you said now. You see, I remember when the Buhari administration was coming on board, Babatunde Raji Fashola, former governor of Lagos State, said that a serious government will fix electricity in just 6 months. I also felt, fine, a serious government should fix electricity, but could it happen in 6 months? Maybe a year or 2. But unfortunately, for the past 8 years, it's obvious that the Nigerian electricity is nothing to write home about. So, which shows that even though people come out, individuals come out to campaign to tell us, oh, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I have, these are, I see all those things as political gimmicks and manifestos that might not hold water. If leadership is a serious business,
of course.
If you are coming into a leadership position, we should have your blueprints. If you know that we have various sectors that have issues, that have challenges and predicaments in Nigeria. If you want to face one in the first 2 years or first 4 years, tell us. Electricity is the first thing I want to face in the first 2 or 3 years or the first 4 years of my administration, and I want to ensure that we have stable electricity in the country. Of course, it is possible, it is achievable if truly we want to make it happen. But unfortunately, we realize that majority of the promises were not kept. Yeah, the majority of the promises were not kept, and the new administration now bringing in, those who
almost
partook in the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari, bringing them on board again to be in charge of the affairs of the country. Well, is in 2 ways. One, it is possible that they might do well, better than what they did now, or they might not do well at all, in the sense that when you choose someone who studied or read agriculture or who has a PhD in agriculture to be the Minister of Petroleum, then someone who read petrochemical engineering, who is a professional in that area, being Minister of Finance, and taking someone who read accountancy or economics, being in charge of local government affairs and what have you. So you can see that possibly it's not going to work because you are not that cerebral in that area. So if he is bringing on board, majority of those set of ministers, political appointees to work with him, if he would, ensure that they are fixed into their major areas where they would excellently perform, just like the Commissioner of Works in Rivers State. That kind of a person is fit to become a Minister of Works in Nigeria, of course. So if he's going to bring them on board and is going to ensure that they are able to, work in areas and aspects where they have the adequate knowledge and understanding of what should be done, fine, there's every probability that it's going to work. But if it's going to be based on loyalty, you are loyal to me, you work for me when I emerge as the president, okay, let's do it this way, you come and handle this, you come and handle that, we are going to experience failure, and it's even going to be worse. Take, for example, even President Buhari he is still the Minister of Petroleum in Nigeria. So, and yet our refineries are not yet still working. So we can see that there's no way forward in that. And one thing we should be able to take note of is, if I become the president of the country, irrespective of my political affiliation, I can choose my board members, my ministers from different areas, different specializations, different political parties, to work with the government. All we need to ensure is way forward. We need to progress. We need a working system. We need a working Nigeria. So there will be synergy. That is why I appreciate the fact that President Goodluck Jonathan then was able to organize the confab in 2014. And there were recommendations, unilateral recommendations. But unfortunately, it is expected, or it was expected, that President Muhammadu Buhari would be able to implement, the recommendations of this confab, because there were a series of things that were recommended, which should have, helped Nigeria to move forward. By now, we shouldn't be where we are today now, if those recommendations, were implemented.
Now, I want to bring us back a bit, or let me say, it's going to be a two question in one.
Okay.
Firstly, prior to the election, this is the 2023 general election, the presidential election, there were a lot of drama, especially with PDP.
Okay.
The first question there is going to be, where did you think they got it wrong? Then secondly, it is believed most Nigerian citizens will tell you after the inauguration and the swearing in has been done, no matter what the case might be in the court, there's no how you're going to take out a sitting president. Where do you think the opposition parties that have gone to court stand after the swearing in of the president-elect?
Thank you. For your first question, before the presidential election, of course, there were so many issues coming up, and you mentioned the People's Democratic Party, PDP. Well, they got it wrong because I would say that it all lies on overconfidence. Overconfidence in the sense that they know that the Nigerian citizens are not just happy, but are not pleased and not willing, to continue with the sufferings and predicaments and economic quagmire, like I said earlier on, of the Nigerian. So everybody wants another change. They want a positive change, to be specific. So they have this overconfidence that since this is going to be, and being one of the largest party in West Africa, so definitely if they don't want the current administration, the political party, to continue, of course, they are the next line. They are the next line to take up the responsibility of Nigeria. So, but they failed to ensure that there is cooperation, there is synergy, there is peace and justice within the party. So their intra-party crisis was the major reason why they failed to eventually take the mantle of leadership. So the intra-party crisis exposed their weakness, which the APC took an advantage of, because it is glaring that for me personally, I don't expect that the margin that the PDP and the Labour Party would have should be that close. We should expect that whoever is going to emerge, between the APC, PDP, and Labour Party, especially the first and the second, should be very, very close. That is the expectation. And before the election, nobody can even boldly say this is the candidate that is going to emerge eventually, because it is dicey. All the candidates, one way or the other, have one issues, one challenge that they are trying to fix and tell the public this is not, why the public are also saying, oh, this is what is happening, this is what's going on. But the APC took advantage of what the intra-party crisis in PDP, and they leverage on that as a merit for themselves. That is why they also have intra-party crisis, but they never exposed it, they never disclosed it. But PDP, they escalated their own intra-party crisis. And instead of them to find a way around it, they still go ahead with, we don't care, we are still going to emerge. That is why I said overconfidence. I hope they've learned their lessons. I don't know, maybe they will get there eventually.
Just out of,
I think it's just two questions.
Okay.
The second one is, most Nigerians will always believe that after the swearing in of the president-elect.
Yes.
It's very hard, as I said earlier, to take him out of office.
Yes.
Now we have a lot of petitions in the courts from the Labour Party, from the People's Democratic Party, every other body that feels like they are not happy with the outcome of the results. Do you really see any light coming for them, like, okay, these things can turn in their favor should they find fault in whatever has been given as a result, or it's just going to be like the belief of every Nigerian is in power already?
Well, I will go with the belief of every Nigerian, and the reason is because I was still, like I've said, although President Goodluck Jonathan had his own shortcomings during his administration, which was obvious, and I also criticized him then. But the fact that he gave a template that election can still be credible in Nigeria, that is what he did, and that is why, as a sitting president, without even going to the court, he was able to concede to defeat before the announcement of the result. He congratulated President Muhammadu Buhari, and I can vividly say that I am sure that he never even told anyone that he's going to congratulate President Muhammadu Buhari, because if he had done that, even to his wife, who is the closest person to him, they might have uttered what he has in his mind. So he did it independently on his own to congratulate President Muhammadu Buhari, and I can tell you that if it were to be other persons, I don't know, it is possible such might not happen. They would rather say go to court. So coming to the incoming administration now, one thing I wouldn't want to, the reason why I said I'm going to go with the masses is just because the president-elect is someone who I've always known that when he says that don't worry, you're going to win your case in court, of course you're going to win your case in court, so I don't know, either by credibility or not, they've always been winning in court. So he coming in, in fact, I said it to someone that the major problem or the major challenge I'm going to have with the current administration, the incoming administration, is that are we going to have justice in the judiciary system? Are we going to be able to say, okay, if I'm going to court and I have my facts, I'm going to win my case? I'm not going to, it's not going to be a waste of time. I know someone who contested in the last assembly elections and lost, and he noticed and realized some loopholes and some manipulations that happened. And I said, why don't you go to court? Perhaps you might be able to, if you have a good case to present anyway, you might be able, it's possible you win your case. And he said, as long as the president-elect is going to be sworn in, he can't waste his money, because there's no way he can even win in court.
So are you saying our judicial system is as good as dead? Because you are trying to bring in maybe political affiliation, maybe party choice, and okay, he said when he says he's going to win or someone is going to win, it turns out to be that way. So it's like he's a godfather. When he speaks, it stands. So are we saying for the next 4 or probably 8 years, our judicial system is as good as dead?
We will start from the Osun State. By the time the Supreme Court decides the fate of the governorship election that happened in Osun State, and we'll see the result that comes out of the Supreme Court, then that is going to be an answer to this question, to know if we are going to enjoy justice for the next 4 years, or we are going back to what we've been experiencing
back to Egypt.
Yes.
Wow. Out of curiosity, in an economy with, say, over 40% unemployment rate, let's not forget development is dependent on infrastructure and job creation. I tend to wonder what miracle we should be expecting from the incoming administration, especially in a situation where we are engulfed with lots of debt already as a country.
Yes, there's a lot of debts, which you said. And of course, the incoming administration is still going to borrow. Yes, definitely. Even more than what President Muhammadu Buhari has borrowed. And if need be, it's possible we're going to realize that, you know, there are so many things that have gone wrong. Just the same way the Goodluck Jonathan's administration was exposed of whatever has happened, the problems we've, you know, been able to. So the same way, if, you know, political affiliation is not going to be the order of the day, it's possible we'll be able to also know that, oh, a lot have gone down the drain during Buhari's administration, and we need to fix a lot of things. The reason why I said it's possible that it's possible for us to know all the things that we don't know now, which has gone wrong, is because the person coming in might want to let the public know that in case for the next 1, 2, 3 years things are not going the same way we expect it to be, is because there are things that has happened in the past administration, which, because for Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu to take up the mantle of leadership, is going to be a slow start. Because you can't just expect him to just come on board and start implementing things, start doing things immediately. He would want to study what is on ground. He would want to study the economy, the way they run the government and every other thing, to ensure that, okay, let's see where to kickstart. And if care is not taken, we would be on that phase for more than 2 years before we begin to say, okay, we want to start. During Buhari's administration, it took him over 120 days before he begins to have his own ministers. So now we expect that the incoming administration should start almost immediately, bring in those who should be responsible, who should handle different sectors, so that we can start working. We know where we are, we know what has gone wrong, we know where we are, we know where we are going to, and we'll be able to know or decipher what should be done, so as to have a smooth ride, a soft landing at the end of the day. So it is expected that Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, when he comes on board, in order not to really have a slow start, those who will be working with him, he should ensure that they come on board almost immediately. Of course, it's going to be by it's going to be partisan one way or the other. But we just want to be sure that even if it is partisan, let it be the fact that it's going to be someone who is actually up to this task. The reason why I said so, I'll make an example of Governor Olusegun Mimiko. When he was the governor of this state, his brother, Femi Mimiko, was the vice chancellor of Adekunle Ajasin University. Then, of course, it's obvious that is, you know, the brother, so definitely it is partisan one way or the other, but he's a professor, he understands, and we were able to see that then Adekunle Ajasin University was different, you know, among all other state universities, at a point the best state university in Nigeria. So that is what I'm saying. Even if it's gonna, you know, bring on board people based on party affiliation or what have you, let it be justified by, you know, bringing in people that are cerebral, you know, that are, you know, intellectuals, those who have deep knowledge of different sectors which they are being assigned to.
Now, a lot of talk is really going on, and of course, the May 29 is right before us. But you, as a Nigerian right now, what do you think is going wrong, and where do you think we should be putting our faces? Because we have a lot of debt, as Ezekiel has initially mentioned, and even though the present administration is outgoing, they are still getting more debts. And this is very alarming, because we don't even know where we have our crude. We can't refine them here. We have to transport them outside, bring them back. A lot of money being spent. The debts that we are getting from other countries, we are not putting them into infrastructure. We are using them to service other debts. Where do you think we are right now? What do you suggest that Nigeria do right now?
Well, at the point, or at the moment, Nigeria is static. We're not moving forward, we're not going backward, we're just static. So, and if we are static, of course, an average Nigerian would say we are going backward, one way or the other. It's interwoven. So the way forward now is the fact that we have a lot of debts. And for example, it's going to be difficult for the incoming administration to be able to facilitate or implement a lot of things easily. And a lot of blames will still be coming in to the incoming administration. And if care is not taken, we would even be saying we are, our forefathers are even happier than we are. The past administration is even better. It will not become a kind of rhyme in Nigeria that a past administration will always be better than the incoming administration. The reason why I said so is, take for example, the census that is expected to come on board. About $1.8 billion have been spent, have been disbursed to ensure this, and that's about close to 900 billion naira. But unfortunately now, our president told us that they are going to stop it for now.
Due to logistics.
For the next administration to take over. And are you now saying that when the new administration comes on board, they will just kickstart just like that? Population census, let's go and work. When money has been disbursed. So they are not the one that disbursed the money. So definitely, invariably it's going to happen like a fresh start. Bringing in another certain amount of money to ensure this is coming on board. We forgot that we've spent a lot of money for the census, which has not even materialized. So there will be another disbursement again, like maybe an additional supplementary, or they even say, oh, that one has gone with the whole administration. So one way or the other, we would continue to be in debt. One way or the other, it will just continue, just like that.
Wow.
Now,
okay.
Oh, please.
All right. Right now, we don't have much time, but as a Nigerian citizen and also as a political analyst that I believe you have been, your eyes have been very close to everything that has been going on for at least for the past 8 years. If you're going to advise a Nigerian that is looking for their ends meet with the government, and they feel like things are not going their way, the government does not have our time, they cannot protest. As you said now, a bill has passed the first reading that possibly there won't be protest. So even we are having bad governance, we can't say anything. We don't have power, we don't have voice. And right now, I also believe that possibly the media can be infiltrated and possibly the media might not be able to do their work, because when there is restriction on some social media platforms and maybe the way you can speak, you can't really speak. What is your advice for every Nigerian right now?
Well, my advice for every Nigerian is that we have to take the bull by the horn. One way or the other, whatever we are doing or we're going to do as an opinion or an idea or suggestion is still going to be subjected to the government. But if democracy truly wants to take place, we are the people, we are the voice of the government. They are our leaders, but they are to listen to us. It is what we tell them that we want is what they should listen to. Now, what I think we should do is, as a Nigerian, we should focus on our skills as a person. We shouldn't depend on, I've gone to school, then immediately I'm expecting the Nigerian government to give me a job. You would realize that even entrepreneurs, business men and women, they are making more money than those who are civil servants. And it's because they were able to ensure that their skills are working. So when you are going to school, you know that you have a basic skill in an area, in an aspect. It's better you improve that skill while in school. Not because everybody wants to be a medical doctor, me too I want to be a medical doctor. Everybody wants to be a lawyer so that they can call me a lawyer, I want to be a lawyer. You understand? So we have a lot of people who are making sense, who are making progress in their respective entrepreneurship skill. And the reason is because they were able to identify it and they were able to key into it and they were able to make it happen. So one way or the other, we will become employer of labor for ourselves without depending on the government. And the moment we don't depend on government anymore, then it will be easy for us not to be used by the government, either as political thugs, for violence, for any form of social injustice. Yes.
I think we are out of time, but I don't know if Ezekiel still have any question, just like in a minute for you to answer.
For me, it's the profound alarm as to religious and ethnic division striking this present administration. I think to wonder, are we supposed to expect a continuity in this administration?
Continuity in terms
of division when it comes to religious and ethnicity?
Well, like I said, I mentioned the confab the other time, and one of the recommendations in the confab is that the presidency should be rotated between the north and the south, and not just being rotated between the north and south, but among all the 6 geopolitical zones, which is not taking place. We are only expressing north and south, but leaving the geopolitical zones. So, of course, it is still going to happen. So, the end point is, unless the incoming administration can still, leaving political affiliation or what have you, take the recommendation of the confab, maybe adjust 1 or 2 things about it and implement it. After the implementation, I'm very sure that Nigeria is going to make it.
Let's really hope it's going to happen, because people are really complaining as to the Muslim.
That's what we can really hang on for now. Like, hope is just the word. And thank you very much for coming on the program today.
Thank you very much.
Really appreciate you coming. And we are very sure we did enjoy you on the program, and we are very sure we are going to honor our invitation next time.
Definitely.
All right, viewers, you've heard it all from our guest in the house, with a lot of advice and a lot of way to go and what to do. Nigeria is going to be great again, we believe, and we are very sure that we are going to be great people. From us here, we'll be handing over to our Lagos studio, where they will give you more juicy packages. From here, we'll be saying goodbye. I remain Michael Obagiri.
Have a wonderful day ahead. I remain Ezekiel. Okay.